So Missy, what was your main motivation for doing a deep energy retrofit of the scale that you did? It's a complete house retrofit.
I think it was the intersection between the political and the personal. Was worried about environmental issues. Deepwater Horizon also had happened, and I was on this committee at school. It was a teaching circle where we were talking about Deepwater Horizon, and so the issues of carbon-based economy were right in front of us. But way before then, I had been interested in environmental issues and this whole dialectic between the structural and the personal, and this idea that there are things that you need to do, the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, things that need to happen at a large level, but then also things that we need to do personally. And then if we don't do things personally, the consumer doesn't do anything at the personal level, then change is not going to happen either.
So when you decided to do it, did you understand what was involved? Or that was an evolution
Not entirely. No, but I knew it was going to be a big project, and for about 10 years I had been wanting to do this project. And for a long time people said, you couldn't do it. That was the big, it was so big you couldn't do it. I had met Bruce Coldham at another time because a friend of mine lived at Pine Street Co-Housing, where he developed Pine Street Co-Housing. So I knew of his work, and so I just called. And it was one of those moments where I spoke to Andrew Webster, and we talked about an hour. And he said, not only do you do this, but we do this, but just we were in the middle of doing one. And National Grid has just called us, and they were looking for projects.
Was there any part of that process of learning about funds available now that we all move forward discouraging at all, or all very fall into place?
No, it all fell that once we realized that we had somebody in place who actually understood what we wanted to do and technically felt totally comfortable going ahead doing what we wanted to do, I felt like it was actually quite easy. It seemed sort of magical at that moment, but then there was 10 years before that, saying no, you can't do it. But once we started the process, I felt like it was really easy.
And as the builder, and you can be very honest with me here, how was the process overall?
It was, I could say it was great. It was, that sounds crazy because it was crazy.
And I recall early in the process, we really got a sense of the scale of the water issues, which are also part of the whole, when the next day was full of water, the moat.
We had the moat.
So we'd really see what we're having to deal with down the line, and we knew that water control was going to be part of the process as well.
As difficult as that was, more for you than it was for me. We had the moat, we had the water come up through the ground, and I think we had 7 inches of rain.
Were there any surprises in the construction as far as, other than moving room to room, and as we dismantled one room and worked on another one and tried to make living somewhat normal?
I don't think, in terms of our process, I never felt crazy surprised, because I think for other homeowners, what they need to know is that you have to have a relationship with your builder, and I think we had a good relationship. So that I think before each part happened, we talked about it, and it wasn't like Monday morning somebody showed up and said, oh, by the way, now you have to, you can't have that kitchen anymore, you can't have that.
And having lived here for several years now after completion, how is it living in, you notice differences compared to the...
Oh, it's amazingly different. We lived in a sieve, and so the kitchen was right where we're sitting now. We used to be able to feel the air coming through, the line in the floor, where the wall met the floor, the line in the wall, and so from a comfort level, it's unbelievably different. Much more steady.
Any advice for people who are thinking?
I think you need to be sure to be working with a builder that you can communicate with. I think part of the value of the work that we did is that we were able to work together really easily. And when questions came up, I don't think it was that there were never issues, but that we could talk about them. Sometimes they have it, sometimes we had to go to you and call you up late and go, you can't do this at this hour, and so it's a give and take. It's both what's happening on our end, but it's also we're bringing issues to to you that aren't always easy for you, so that to have an established communication, I think, is really, really important. I think that makes a huge difference because you're living together, not necessarily a builder, but your staff is living together, everybody's here, and if things are not going well, then I think the homeowner really needs to feel free to talk about whatever it is that's happening for them.
And it affects every part of your house. That's the whole thing about the footprint. It's your basement to your top of your roof. It's moving all over.
It's moving all over. You know, it was amazing. There was a team of people who really were willing to think things through, and that's incredible. I don't think that necessarily always happens, so I felt like we were really, really lucky. And then you all went to Nessie, to the Green Building Conference in Nessie, and came back, and I remember I spoke to engineers, and we talked about, and we have this other idea and this other plans, and I thought, oh my God, that was like above and beyond the call duty. So, I mean, that was amazing to have you all so vested in the project that you wanted it to come out right. So for homeowners to link themselves with people who really have that kind of investment in the project. It's not just a house. There's a lot of things that are new and different, and techniques are new and different. So to have people who are that curious, that they're going to Nessie to the conference and saying, okay, how can we do this differently? What's the best plan? That was amazing.